The book of Job chapter 18 and verse 10. It says, a snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Fearlessness shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be famine, and destruction shall be ready at his side. Shalom. First, I'd like to begin by giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles, who do all well at great stone citation and blessing to the sincere brethren, pushing his word in sincerity and in all truth to you sisters who listen in silence and meekness and obedience. Say shalom to you. And we have beautiful news here, lovely news that's happening in the world right now. As you can see, China is retaliating. China retaliating for their tariffs which Trump placed on them. Right? So it says here in Reuters, it says China strikes back at Trump with own tariffs, export curbs. This is today the today the 6th, but this was the 4th of April, right? And it says China imposes extra 34% tariff on all US goods from April 10th. China puts export restrictions on some rare earth from April the 4th. China added 11 US bodies to unreliable entitled list. Measures against US comes in wake of Trump's tariffs. China panicked, Trump says in response. He says now Beijing April the 4th router China on Friday struck back at the US tariff imposed by President Donald Trump with a slew of countermeasures including extra levies, right, which is I believe means tariffs, or look up that word again. Impose tax, right? Impose tax, of 34% on all US goods, and export curbs on some rare earth depending on the trade war between the world's two biggest economies. Beijing also imposed restrictions on about 30 US organizations, mostly in defense-related industries, adding to the already 24 US companies punished over Trump's tariff. Reuters Tariff Watch newspaper in a daily guide. It goes on to say Beijing sweeping retaliation comes after Trump slapped the world's number 2 economy with additional 34% tariffs on Chinese goods, bringing the total new levies this year to 54%. That is over 0.5%. It says turning also, Trump also right, beautiful. It says Trump also closed a trade loophole that had allowed low-value packages from China to enter the US duty-free. Now this trade war here, this tariff war here, right? Which Trump say he favored with his tariff, right? And this is a serious war going on right now, right? Because Donald Trump trying to make the America great again by slapping tariff on a variety of countries, right? There was a list the other day where let's see if I could find that list, where he slapped tariff on numerous countries around the world. Right, here it is. It says United States announced reciprocal tariffs on the following countries: Chile 10%, India 26%, Israel 17%, Brazil 10%, China 34%, Japan 24%, Turkey 10%, Taiwan 32%, Vietnam 46%, Pakistan 29%, Thailand 36%, Australia 10%, Malaysia 24%, Colombia 10%, Sri Lanka 44%, Singapore 10%, Indonesia 32%, Cambodia 49%, Philippines 17%, Switzerland 31%, Bangladesh 37%, South Korea 25%, South Africa 30%, United Kingdom 10%, European Union 20%. So Trump in play when it comes to these tariffs, when it comes to these tax, right? In a plane, right? But China also isn't playing, right? Because the majority of stuffs are being made in China, right? So that says something. It says the U.S. moves its right. It says the U.S. move is not in line with the international trade rules, seriously undermines China's legitimate and lawful rights and interests, and is a typical unilateral bullying, China's finance minister said. China called the new round of U.S. tariff a blatant violation of World Trade Organization rules and have requested installation at the WTO. Trump accused China of panicking in a comment on Truth Social. Quote, China played it wrong. They panicked. The one thing they cannot afford to do, he wrote on Friday. It says matching duty. China finance minister matched U.S. duties with additional tariffs of 34% of all U.S. goods from April the 10th. On top of the 10%, 15% tariff is imposed on some U.S. agricultural goods in March, and 15% tariffs on some energy and farming machinery in February. Agricultural trade took a deeper hit as China Customs imposed an intermediate suspension on import of U.S. sorghum from C&D U.S. industry, as well as inbound shipment of poultry and bone meat for the three U.S. foods. China's biggest import from the U.S. are soybeans, oilseed, and grains amounting to $13.4 billion in 2024, as well as $14.7 billion of various fuel and $15.3 billion in electrical machinery, according to the U.S. trade data. With 34% tariff, it will not be possible for the U.S. agricultural product to enter China. It is an opportunity for other exporters like Brazil and Australia to increase their market share in China, said Oil House Director of Advisory Service at Icon Commodities in Sydney. Right? Jumping down here, it says the Chinese yen has dropped to the lowest level in 7 weeks, and stock markets slammed on Thursday after Trump unveiled his reciprocal tariffs that were particularly heavy on China. Trump has ordered the U.S. Trade representatives to determine whether China was living up to its commitment under the 2020 Phase 1 US-China Trade Agreement by April the 1st. The deal required China to increase purchase of US export by $200 billion over 2 years, but Beijing failed to meet its target. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, China bought $154 billion in the US goods. In 2017, before trade war began, China custom data shows that the figures rose to $164 billion this year. So I will pause here for the hour. Now all these tariffs here going to lead to the first container tariff, famine. Alright? Because the world hasn't experienced, well, you know, these third world country hasn't experienced famine on a wide scale. Alright? On a wide scale. So I read over verse 12 in Job 18. Job 18 and 12, it says, his strength shall be famine, and destruction shall be ready at his side. Right? So look out. You gotta look out for these things, you know, and as watchmen, you know, we deliver the news to the people, right? The ones who taking heed and watching also. Alright, this is the book of Isaiah 3 and 1. It says, for lo, Yahweh of hosts will take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the strength, even the stay of bread, and all the stay of water. Right? And this is the beginning of the beginning of Jacob's trouble. Right? Because the Lord will not take that stay or that staff represent the Lord will not take away the support of these other countries, because these other countries like China and these other countries where Trump put those tariffs, they were supporting America. It's a partnership, right? And take away that partnership now, so that's that foundation, or that staff. It getting shaky, right? It rotting, it brittle. Right? This says the strong man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the prudent and the aged. Right? All these things going to come down to the entire world. Right? The world will not feel it. It's not just America will not feel it, or China will not feel it, but the entire world will not feel it. You see? So this is our stage. This is our next phase in these times, in the end times. Our next phase. The other day was COVID. All right. Right now we're going through a war with Russia, Ukraine. Right, in the Middle East, with Israel. Right. All these things happening simultaneously. What I mean that means that's straight that we at the end. Right? They Luke chapter 6 and verse Luke 6 and 25, it says, woe be to you that are full. As a matter of fact, verse 23, it says, rejoice ye in the day and be glad, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For after this manner their fathers did to the prophets. But woe be to you that are rich, for ye have received your consolation. Right? So the ones, and that basically we does apply this to the ones who receiving the benefits in this life, in this kingdom, in this life we living in right now. Right? They life filled with goodness, You know, the cupboards always fill. You know, they don't know how to be a base and a bound. But it says, verse 25, it says, woe be to you that are filled, for ye shall hunger. Woe be to you that now laugh, for ye shall wail and weep. Woe be to you when all men speak well of you, for so did their fathers of the prophets. Alright? So we've seen that this time that we're living in here, it's short. It's very, very short. It's looking like if we have more time here, but it's short. Right? Because we're seeing things happening. Right? Things is happening. Isaiah 33. And verse 15. It says, he that walketh in justice and speaketh righteous. He that walketh in justice and speaketh righteous things, refusing gain of oppression, shaking his hands from taking the gifts, stopping his ears from hearing the blood, and shutting his eyes from seeing evil, he shall dwell on high. His defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him, and his water shall be sure. Thine eyes shall see the King in his glory. They shall behold the land far off. The land far off is the land of milk and honey, right? Which is the kingdom. But the key point here, it says, bread shall be given unto him, right? So the scripture says, well, my servant shall eat. My servant shall eat. Isaiah 64 and 65 and verse 12, it says, and verse 13, it says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, power, behold, my servants shall eat, and ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, and ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, and ye shall be ashamed. With that, I give our praises to H.O.B. Hashem Yashai. Laborance the apostles are with great milestone and rule well. Citation to the sincere, I can approach this word in sincerity and in all truth. To the sisters that listen in meekness, in silence. See Shalom.